Okay, all right. I think we are all set. All right, well, thank you again, Bassem, for joining our OSLTD class and sharing your experience coming into Canada and transitioning with your career. And if you would you like, maybe I'll just start with your bio. I could read your bio so anybody else watching this will have a great intro if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Bassem is a digital marketing strategist and speaker with more than 15 years of experiencing managing online marketing strategies for some of Canadian and international corporations, including Canadian Tire, VistaPrint, Remax Canada, Egypt Air, Xplornet, Direct Energy, and Toronto Star. Demonstrated success in digital marketing has led to speaker engagements at marketing events around the world and the honor of winning Entrepreneur of the Year 2 times in 2015 by the Canadian Association of Marketing Professionals and in 2020 from the Canadian SME Awards. Bassem is the driving force behind Green Lotus and has a knack for creating innovative online marketing strategies and tools for medium, large businesses and nonprofits. In addition to providing digital marketing services, Green Lotus places emphasis on education and training, empowering entrepreneurs, business owners, marketing professionals with the knowledge and skills they need to succeed in today's competitive online marketplace. And we are so excited to have you here, Bassem. Thank you, thank you. And so maybe I will just launch into some of our questions unless you wanted to start with something else first.
No, thank you for having me. It's quite a pleasure to talk to young, ambitious people, and happy to share my 2 cents.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So, all right, Bassem, if you could tell us a little bit about where you're from and why you moved to Canada.
I'm originally from Egypt. My city is called Alexandria. It's the second biggest city in Egypt. And just due to the nature of life in the Middle East, I really wanted to leave. I originally had the American dream, have a better life, make lots of money and drive luxurious cars and just have a quality of life. That was really the main driver when I was like a teenager, thinking about leaving the Middle East and just have the opportunity to succeed. Because sometimes in the Middle East, even if you work very, very hard, you don't get the opportunity to succeed. But the Far West is well known. If you work hard, you will succeed. So I just wanted to have a better life.
Fantastic. Thank you. And how did you find Canada and Canadians in general when you came over initially? And how do you find things now?
Canadians are like honestly the most polite people, the most law obedient people, the most people that say sorry. It's very contradicting to where I come from. We in the Middle East we like to take shortcuts. If there's a line, I'll just skip the line and go right into the front of the line. But Canadians, I'm like find the last person in the line and ask them, "Are you the last person on the line?" And then they stand there. It's been wonderful, honestly. I love Canadians. I love the human respect and the human rights that are in Canada, and I truly love the fact that there is little to no racism whatsoever for a guy from the Middle East, not native to the country, to come and succeed and have his spot in the light with no really almost no racism in that I faced in Canada. So I'm very, very grateful actually to end up in Canada because originally I had the American dream and I was supposed to go to the US, but I'm very fortunate that I ended up here.
Would you like, thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. Being a native born Canadian, that makes my heart happy. Would you care to share on how fate or whatever you call it made it so that you were coming to Canada rather than the States? Would you like to touch on that, or we don't have?
Sure, sure. Well, my brother, I've been in the States for more than 25 years, and the whole idea is to be with my brother. And I applied for the US about 5 to 7 times, and I got the refusal every single time. And I couldn't really make it. And at that point, I really wanted to go anywhere. I was thinking of Australia, New Zealand, Canada. Canadian immigration said hi first, and they were the first one to recognize my file, and like, okay, Canada it is.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what a testament to your tenacity and just not giving up. So, which I think a lot of new Canadians, when anybody comes over here, that's one of the impressions I've seen is the level of tenacity and persistence that new Canadians have embraced and embodied is always impresses me. Um, so, what was one of the funny moments that when you first arrived to Canada, your experience here?
Well, I originally arrived in Montreal in Quebec, and the snow in Quebec is just different level to the one that we have in Canada. And quite honestly, the only time I saw snow or ice was in the freezer in our fridge at home. So I really had no idea what to expect. And the first snowstorm I experienced, I was actually living in the basement, and I cracked the heat so much up that it was like a sauna in there. And I opened, like when I got up, apparently the snow fell and they shoveled it and they blocked my little like window. So I opened the curtain and I see the color white. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm already like about 2 meters under the ground, and they already shoveled the snow and made a small like pile. So I'm looking up at this like 4 or 5 meter
Wow.
snowbank, and the first thing that came to my mind, if you guys know the movie The Day After Tomorrow, when like the snowstorm wiped kind of all of North America, I'm like, did I sleep through it? Did I just crank the heat so much and everyone like vanished and I'm the only one alive? Not a joke. I peeked out to see like if there are people moving. Yeah, there are actually alive. So it was quite the experiment to experience the first snowstorm. Coming back from work, I couldn't even recognize the house that I lived in because everything looked the same. So I like got off the bus like 3, 4 stops after. I'm like, I'm definitely past my house here, and it was really funny, but really scary at the time.
Yeah, yeah. At the time, not so funny. Later, funny. Yes. Oh, wow. I can't imagine. That's awesome. So how did you start? It says, yeah, how did you start your life in Canada? Um, Work and just in general. You started in Quebec, and obviously. So would you like to tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, sure. It was really difficult in Quebec for non-French speaking to get a job in their career. So I did a lot of labor jobs. I worked in a chicken factory. I didn't even tell my mom that I worked in a chicken factory till like years after, because if she knew, she would be like, "Well, just come back home." I worked in McDonald's. I worked in like loading and offloading trucks, and I made very very little money. Like I remember making like $600-700 a month. That 400 of it goes to my rent, and I had to live with like $300. So it was really difficult, but thankfully I had a handful of friends and Canadian friends that believed in me. They helped me. They showed me a little bit of good time. So it was not all suffering, because again, Montreal is a very lovely city, and Quebec and Quebecois are really decent people. And then I was encouraged to move to Toronto, and my career like just took a like a very speed pass, and just things moved very very quickly from there.
Amazing. So for those of you who don't know your history, your professional history, could you tell us what you were doing in Egypt before you came to Canada and had to take those low-level jobs?
Well, originally I have a bachelor degree in architect, not even IT or computer architect, like architect building. And I just from a like what do you call it, mid class level family. We're okay. We had our own like apartment and car, but we were not wealthy by any meaning. And I'm also a Coptic Christian from the Middle East. That's kind of the summary.
Yeah, that's a big change. So how did you, for those who are watching, who have come over and they have these high-level credentials and experience, and doors are not opening for them. And how can you share how you kept going when you had to take jobs that were so not where you wanted to be? How did you remain positive? How did you keep working hard? Could you share a little bit about your mindset?
Well, the biggest driver was not to fail. Like I cannot go back to Egypt and say I failed. Like that was like it came more from a scarcity. It was not really a motivational. You can do this or anything. It was more driven by fear, and I really wanted to make the life for me here. But I will go back to the point that you said. It's the tenacity. Like I find a lot of immigrants and the cultures that we come from are more like resilience. I remember like printing like 30, 40 copies of my resumes and like just go knock on architect doors and stuff like that. And then when I tell that to my Canadian friends, I'm like, what? What did you do? And quite honestly, a lot of people turned me down. A lot of people told me to leave it at their front desk. Some people called me back. But I really had a lot of power, like the way that we are raised in the Middle East, like just a lot of like guts that I think that came to fruition. And then after few years, and I did some self-development and I took some courses, that scarcity driven became a passion, became something that I love to do and I love to succeed. And quite honestly, I don't do anything with architecture anymore. I basically took the career of the first good opportunity that I had. I did because I studied architect. We used to do 2D and 3D graphics. So I studied a little bit of Photoshop. I studied a little bit of HTML and Flash when Flash was something in the past. One of the first jobs that kind of switched my career from labor jobs to like more of a disc job was redesigning and rebranding a company. It was, I believe, a job IT recruiting software. And the owner of the company, I'm talking like back in early like 2000, and he walked into my desk and said, Bassem, how can we get on the first page of Google? That was the question that changed my career. And at the time, like search engine and optimization and marketing was not a thing. Like nobody really knew really what Google is at the time. And I asked my brother because he was studying computer science, and he told me to buy a book, and the rest is history.
Oh, great, thank you. And so you mentioned when you hit Toronto, your career really started to launch, and it sounds like you've touched on some of the first major door opening for you in marketing, which is what you're doing today. Um, why do you think that you were able to be successful growing that?
Ha. Um, why were I able to be successful? I think it's more, I got into a career before it became a career. Like I got into search engine optimization and search engine marketing before it actually became a career. And by the time it was a career and I got like my job interview at Canadian Tire to be the head of digital marketing, I already had like 7, 8 years of experience when it just became a job title to have. So I think it was a little bit of luck and a little bit of like passion, because it was really interesting at the end of the day to really look at an analytics of a website and understand why people are visiting a website, why people are buying from a website. What if you move this button from here to here? What would it, how much of impact it will have? So I did have a bit of passion for analytics and understanding the human behavior. So it did struck a little bit of the nerd side in me, and also the luck that I got into the industry before it became an industry.
Mhm. Rick, I see you're on
Yeah,
screen.
I was gonna say, Bassem, I was gonna say that I've coached numerous athletes over the years, and I've always told them that luck is when opportunity meets preparation. And so all of that door knocking that you had done beforehand, and all of that grit that you describe about not giving up, or the fear that yeah, it's going to be sent back to Egypt, that was part of the preparation, I think. So you're right, luck is part of all of our journeys, but it also was optimized, no pun intended, when we're prepared for it, right? And we're prepared for that opportunity. So
I agree with you.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rick. And what was one of your hardest moments when you first moved to Canada?
I can't forget this moment. I was still in Montreal, and I was struggling to have a job because all of the labor jobs just kind of like come and go. And I applied for a seasonal worker at Zellers when Zellers was a thing. And I didn't really understand what's a seasonal worker. I just was happy to make $700-800 a month. And I did the night shift, and they always gave me the kids section. So like you spend all night organizing it and just take one kid to just demolish the whole toy section in Zillers. And I worked very hard, and I liked my friends in there, and I finally found a little bit of rhythm working for a corporation, working with a system. It is the first time I don't work in a like a just a 2-3 man job kind of companies. And a seasonal job by nature is that they hire you for the Christmas season, and then they let you go after the season is done. So when they told me the news that they no longer need me, I remember I had tears in my eyes in front of my manager, and I went outside and cried in front of the store. I'm like, why would they let me go? I finally found something, and I was so heartbroken to get fired from Zellers, honestly. And it's just one of the things that kind of left a mark in my heart and my mind. But I look back at it, and it's as Rick said, it's part of the journey.
Yeah, yeah. And for those who may not know, Zellers is kind of what Walmart is. Zellers was the Canadian version of Walmart. So wow, well, you've come quite a ways there, Bassem. Amazing. And and again, just to touch on the mindset and the attitude that you had after the heartbreak, sort of getting over the shock. How did you talk to yourself? What was the next action for you? The next thought, the next action?
I just went on to find the next thing, and I just could not stay at home sad. I just took my time and let it out and told my friends about it. And next day I'm on my computer looking for another job. But it was a very dark, low period of my life.
Well, thank you for sharing. Good. And again, I'm hoping that some people come across this video and have some hope from your example. So that's why I'm asking these things, and thank you. All right, so let's hear more about this amazing career that had started in Toronto, please. How did it start in Toronto? Okay.
Yeah, so the first job, decent job. Actually, before that, I got hired at a restaurant. I'm not going to say the name of it. It's a big franchise, and I got fired after 2 weeks. So that was a really rocky start. I got hired as a busboy or like a kitchen boy in the back, and I was really bad at it. I was really bad at it.
Blessings in disguise, right? I mean, it's sometimes my experiences, so many of the things that I thought I absolutely wanted or had to have that did not come through were some of the best misses to allow me a greater gain down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if I was there, I would not had the job interviews. So then I got to work for that IT company. I was hired for more of a graphic design. They wanted to redesign their logo and their website. So then I got asked about the search engine and how to be on the first page of Google. And again, we're talking at that time, it was like nobody really knew anything about how to do this stuff. And then I found an ad to work for the Toronto Star. And quite honestly, I don't know much about SEO and Google at that time, but I told a joke at the interview. The guy asked me, "How did you come here?" And I told him, "By camel. Can we speed up the interview because he keeps eating the parking ticket?" And the guy was on the floor.
That's
Yeah, the interview was at 8:30. I got hired at 9:30.
amazing.
And I honestly, that was the job. I learned on the spot. I had a little bit of knowledge, but I learned on the job, and I went to conferences, and that was the first kind of like big career shift to work for much bigger recognized organization. And then after that, I took over the Canadian and American marketing digital marketing for Direct Energy. Direct Energy used to be a utility company selling electricity and gas before they got bought by Inner Care. And then the last full-time job I had was the head of digital marketing for Canadian Tire. And quite honestly, what an honor to work with for a Canadian like legend. Like they're the strongest Canadian retailer till this day, the biggest budget I ever worked with, the biggest team I ever worked with, the most organization, the best company culture. I'm very grateful to have had that job. And then one day I was like, well, if I can do it for the big guys, I can do it for myself. And I took the leap and started Green Lotus.
Amazing. Okay, well, I want to hear more about this Green Lotus, of course. And I just wanted to note a couple things I heard in your story there about that interview. I heard that you went in and you had an idea what you were going to be interviewing for, but you were open to other opportunities and you were yourself. Making that joke, I'm going to be laughing about that camel comment all day. Thank you. But you were yourself, it sounds like, even though you were in a position where you really needed work, it sounds like. You're really trying to find your way. So there's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. I really am impressed with, if you don't mind me saying, is your attitude of still just being yourself and being confident, and things will work out. They'll come through. I just need to keep working at it. That's such a great message for anybody, Canadian born or not, new Canadian or born Canadian, to hear, especially in these times when things are so shaky and dynamic, to stay true to yourself and to stay open. So what a great example you were and are.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at the time, and this is quite a nice advice for the people who are looking for jobs or interviews or things like that. I didn't understand at the time, why would he hire me? But further along in my career, when I became the hiring manager, to be quite honest with you, more than 60% of the things that hiring managers are looking for, are you a team a player? Can you work and mesh with the culture we have? And the Toronto Star, that division we had, we were quite the jokers. Like the team was full of characters and we joked the entire day. So he really wanted to know, can I actually be part of that? And the rest, the 40% that, in my opinion, that that hiring manager look for is the skills. So it's more about being a team player, and the smallest part is about the skills, because I'm not hiring you because you know everything. You are definitely going to learn things on the job. It's not all about the knowledge you have. Hiring manager are looking for, are you a team player? Can you mix with the culture? Would you be easy to play as part of my team and lead if needed? Those are the best and biggest things that a hiring manager look for. So it's more about you being yourself, being the confidence, being able to adapt to cultures. That is the most important thing, in my opinion, when I was a hiring manager, because I cannot hire someone, even if he is the most genius in the world, but will cause me troubles every day because he cannot work with the team. I much rather hire someone far less junior than him, but he is a team player and not going to cause me headaches every day.
Oh, thank you for saying that. And that's actually one of the reasons that the program that I get to teach here at Fanshawe College in the OSLT workplace communication skills focuses on is exactly that, is sharing about cultural, integration and understanding how to build rapport and being a team player. So that, yes, hard skills are key, of course. And especially today, employers are looking for people with good soft skills, that EQ, that emotional intelligence, where you know when somebody's joking and you know when to be head down and working. That's exactly having that chemistry. And for a new Canadian, sometimes that doesn't come naturally, and that's part of the privilege I get to share with these amazing people that come through the program. And I just couldn't have asked for somebody who's gone through it to share more eloquently about why that's important. So amazing, thank you. Okay, so yes, hard skills, soft skills, team player, gotta have it. All right, and so please tell us about this amazing company of yours. How you got started with it, why you got started, what it means to you, And I'll let you take the floor.
As I said, I was actually in a negotiation with the marketing company that did the digital marketing for Canadian Tire, and I kind of looked at the contract and I looked how amazing this opportunity and like how much money they get paid to do what the amazing job they do. Is nothing wrong with making money. But I was like, well, I am on the wrong side of this table. I would like to make that paycheck. So that was it. I took a leap of faith and I took a calculated risks. You have to take risks in life, but in my opinion, they have to be calculated. I had a little bit of saving, and I was secured for a little bit. And the main goal was honestly, well, number one, to make a lot of money because I like to. Number two,
Life, it does give us a lot of options.
yeah, I'm honest about it. And number two, I like the idea of being my own boss, and both things will allow me to do the thing that I'm most passionate about, is to travel the world. And when I was after I started Green Lotus, I would travel like 3-4 months of the year and work remotely. I lived for like 4 or 5 months of the year in Barcelona, Spain, Europe. I visited more than 40, 50 countries. I love culture. I love trying new things. And that was it. And when we started going back to the risk, I didn't start as a small company. Yes, I was, but I did not present it that way. We did marketing properly. We did layout and design and printed flyers and business cards, and I hosted events and I had Google speakers and just worked all my relationships, and I had like speakers from Microsoft and my events and Google and YouTube and GoDaddy. GoDaddy, for the first time they speak in Canada, was in one of my fundraisers. Wow. So I invested more than like $30,000-$40,000 in the business that the business did not generate that much to be big. If you want to get those big jobs, nobody is going to hire you if your business card looks like you printed at home and cut it with your scissors. Like, you need to add the trust factor. And I go to a lot of business events and a lot of people hand me their business cards. I'm like, you asking me to pay you $35,000 for consultation, which I do not mind. I need that kind of consultation, but I look at your business card, I look at your website, it doesn't portray that trust and value. So we really started big, and it was scary. It was big risk. So I said to myself, I saved those $30,000-$50,000. I'm going to spend it on the company. And the worst case scenario, if everything tanked, I can fall back into a corporate job because my job was still in demand. So that is the calculated risk that I took along the way, that a lot of people helped me. I'm not a Superman here, but things kind of aligned and things started to trickle.
Amazing. Wow. So exciting. Thank you. Wow. And 4 months a year, Barcelona, that doesn't sound too bad at all. Wow.
No, lovely, lovely. Love Spain.
Wow. All right. And so could you tell us a little bit more about Green Lotus itself? What do you do? What's a career in digital marketing? A big part of our course here that I get to share with the students is focused on entrepreneurship and sales and marketing. Although we do have graduates that are going into accounting and other things, but quite a few people are interested in digital marketing or have some experience in it. Could you tell us more about Green Lotus and what you do?
Absolutely. It's all based on the fact that 91% of us, when we want to buy something or hire someone or get a type of service, 91% of us go to the first page of Google. Use Google or search engines to make that decision. And 75% of those 91% do not go to the second page of Google. So we have that psychology or belief in the back of our head. If the company or the cream I want to buy or the dress I want to buy or the consultant I want to buy, if they're or to hire, they're not on the first page of Google, then they're not good enough. So that is the foundation of everything that we do here. And it's more about lead generation for those businesses. So if you're a restaurant and someone's searching for steak restaurants near me, my job is to get you on the first page of Google. If you're a lawyer and someone looking for a real estate lawyer or divorce lawyer, my job is to get you on the first page of Google. And then get you to convert and help you to close that deal with technologies, understanding how was the purchase journey, what happened to them between the first visit and the time that they closed the deal with you, things like that. That's pretty much the foundation of everything that we do. We started as a boutique agency, only work with medium to large companies. Unless you had like $3,000 to $5,000 a month, we couldn't really do much for you because it's a very time-consuming type of work. And then I read a case study, I believe it was from BDC or something like that, that said that 92 or 95 of business owners are small to medium business owners. So it automatically jump in my head is like, well, all of the work and all of the agencies are targeting about 5% of market. There is 95% of the fish that are left there and left with bad services too. There's because it's not a regulated industry. If you want to be an accountant, you have to have a degree. If you want to be a realtor, you have to have a degree. But digital marketing is not a regulated industry. So I thought, well, let me dabble into this. So we're really specialized, or the most of my history is in search engine optimization or SEO tools. And at that time, there was no Canadian SEO tools. There's mainly American, like Moz, SEMrush, and all of these big guns that I learned SEO on them, and I have full appreciation to what they are. But there was no Canadian equivalent. So I thought we had a little tool that we manage our clients internally. And I said, well, let's put a nice skin on it and just put it in the market. And I remember putting it for $8 a month. And people came to me. I'm like, well, you're the Netflix of SEO. I'm like, well, not bad. And then I really wanted to see if people will take up their wallets and buy it. And it did. And it was a huge hit. And that was in 2015. And that's why we won the first Canadian Entrepreneur of the Year, because we're the only and the first SEO tools. And that grows our client base from like maybe 10 or 20 to over 100 or 200 within only 12 months, because the price went up since then, but it was still very affordable and a lot of people jumped on it.
Right.
And then we got a lot of recognition. We got a lot of press and coverage, and that kind of helped into the industry and opened a lot of doors for us. And then last year, we launched the second platform, the second software, which is basically called Smart Site, which is a website that adjusts its behavior based on the user's interaction with it without any coding. So if someone come for the first time, you can show them an intro video. Someone come for the second time, you can show them an offer. The Smart Site can detect someone's location. So if you're by my restaurant or you're by my store, the website can show a notification, hey, you're 2 minutes away from my store, come and take $10 off. And all of that with no coding. That is kind of the first kind of platform that does that with no experience and no coding, and any small business can actually have a phenomenal website. And that's why we won the second Entrepreneur of the Year. And we have further expanded our services because a lot of people and a lot of media companies have reached to us. I'm like, we need your services. We want to work with you. So we recently launched the Your Label program, which was a white label services. So if anyone want to sell what we do, they can acquire it from us in a white label format. And just the company grew over 1,000 clients at the moment. And we are in a really good strike at the moment. I'm very thankful for it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so exciting. And for your the first tool that you launched at the $8 a month that has since increased in price, did you want to mention, is that tool still available? What is it for anybody listening or curious?
Yeah, it's called greenlotustools.com.
Okay.
You can actually sign up for a free trial, no credit required. And it's basically a suite of 35, 40 tools in one place. We did not reinvent the wheel, but we just got all the good wheels in one place and made them cheaper. I do buy data from those big American companies because they have the longest and the biggest database about the industry, but I buy it in a much cheaper way. And I offer support and hands-on training. And we have something called Green Lotus Academy. It's also for free. So the main reason I think it was a huge hit and it was a huge success is that it's very easy to use, and with phone support. A lot of those SEO tools do not have the type of personal support. Unless you know what you're doing, you cannot really figure your way around. But we really went to the entrepreneur, someone you're an amazing accountant, you're an amazing businessman, but digital marketing is not one of the things you studied back in the days. Like, very thankful that you guys are doing this with your student, but back in the day that was not a topic in universities and colleges.
Yeah.
So we kind of provided that education and human support, and that's why I believe it became a big hit.
Super. Now, Rick, it looks like you're logging on. Do you have a question you wanted to ask? I don't know if Rick his connection's just coming through, so let's see. Oh, well, wait a minute. Okay, so I just want to make sure again, so anybody watching this can see the work and the resources that you're referring to. Green Lotus tools.com, is that right? Okay, and you were talking about Smart Site as something that your clients really love, that helps them be extremely responsive and dynamic to visitors to their own sites. And the other one you had mentioned, your label,
Yeah.
another, that's great. Wow, you've so much innovation. I'm surprised you haven't won an Innovator of the Year award just yet, but maybe they just haven't heard enough yet, because I think we need to send them a message. This sounds great. And that's wonderful. I love that you have taken, being a marketer myself, a junior, I'm very junior still, but I've been educated a lot on the US tools, which are great, but I'm being Canadian. I love to hear that there's some very Canadian centric based SEO tools coming forward and making a big impact. So good for me to know, and thank you. All right, so I think Rick has clicked out, so I guess not on the question. I also wanted to touch on, okay, so some of the awards you have, yeah, your awards are fairly impressive. Did you want to address those, or do you want me to just list the website where people can take a look, or?
There are not that many. We did win the best digital agency in Canada and the third globally. We won a few other awards. I got a couple of times features in big magazines and Rogers TV. I think that's about it. There's not that many.
And two-time Entrepreneur of the Year awards through marketing, and yeah, kind of awesome. So that's at www.greenlotus.ca/awards for anybody who wants to check it out. And I guess I'm going to ask you a question from our chat, if that's okay. Before I've got one more question for you otherwise. And Echo is asking, do you have something specific that you do in your daily routine or weekly that you never miss in order to make you stronger to face every day?
That's an amazing question, actually. As an entrepreneur, it does get lonely. Like, you're not working in a big corporation. You don't have an HR and support and trips with your team and team building and fun stuff. It does get very, very lonely. And I remember at one point in my life, there was a lot of things going wrong, and just like, it was very scary, and that's something that you will be facing. And I still remember that every time my phone rang, I was like, oh, that's a customer is going to cancel. And it was not that, but just my fear played into it. So I did a lot of self-development. I took a lot of courses, and it's brain is a muscle, and the program or the knowledge that you have is only built on the past experience, but you really have to adjust it to the future. If you use an outdated software to run a very complicated future, it's not going to work. So my daily routine, to be quite honest with you, I wake up, take my time, I snooze 3-4 times. I don't care. I need to really get my sleep. I do not look at my emails. I do not have my phone in the bedroom. I do not have any technologies when I wake up. I make my Turkish coffee. I sit down, I meditate, I listen to Christian music, and then I read some of the Bible. I pray, and then I start my work. That process take about maybe 45 minutes to an hour, but I do it every day, and that's one of the things that stopped me from worrying from the get-go, because I used to have my cell phone in the bed, and as soon as I wake up, I open the business email. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. So you start the day completely off, but you need to get yourself grounded. So whatever is closer to your heart, a meditation music or the Bible or any religious stuff that you can do in the morning, that's like, as they say, breakfast is the best meal of the day. That first half an hour, the first hour of your day will set you up for the rest of the day.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you. Um, if you were comfortable, would there be any types of authors or speakers that you would recommend for budding entrepreneurs or new Canadians or anybody looking to grow their career? Anyone that you can think of that has really inspired you that you would suggest, hey, maybe you would like so and so. For example, I mean, I've been a big fan of Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn for years, and they're kind of the old timers, and there's a whole new school of thought coming forward these days. Is there any kind of professional sort of inspiration that you would like to share or could share with the?
Well, Tony Robbins is a must. So whatever that you're trying to do is a must. But more on the less known gyms, I took a mastermind for 2 years with a local coach here in Toronto called Natalia Contour. It was one of the best things I did in my life. It really set my goals really nicely. I did a lot of self-development and courses. I do like the watching people and inspiring stories, but for me, what worked for me is small groups, in-person kind of coaching. I don't even like the one-on-one coaching. I know that it works very well on a lot of people, but I do like the being present, being in a group, being in a weekly follow-up system, not just a video here and there to take. It's a commitment. It's investing in your mental health is a commitment, because unfortunately our brain plays a lot of tricks on us, and it's not us. That fear, that pounding, that I'm gonna fail, I'm not good enough. Unfortunately, that is a lot of fear that is built in from the way that we're brought up, and it's kind of a default settings. So you really have to go in and say, no, I am not that fearful person. I'm amazing. I can do this and I can do that, and it only will come from power. I did a lot of stuff in my career, in my life, out of fear, but things really sprung up and things really took off when I became resilient from an empowering point of view.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. If I might add, I love Joe Dispenza, and there's a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I used to have a lot of anxiety myself, and getting rid of that anxiety so that I can be in a calm state allows so much more creativity to flow and for calm to come through. And it's amazing to me that almost by doing less, I can do so much more.
Absolutely.
But I love what you said. It's the brain is a muscle, and it's a practice to change from that scarcity mentality to trust and action from a place of, okay, this is where I'm focusing. Not I have to do this and this and this, and then I have to do this and this. So it's really refreshing to hear and see your example. I have another question, so thank you for that. So Natalie Contour, we'll give her a shout out. What's
Natalia Contour?
Natalia Contour, Contour.
Something like that.
Okay.
I can send you the information
Once you post it, and that's great. And I also loved the working together with others. I mean, that interdependence, that synergy that comes through when working with others. Same with teaching. And so I feel like the students learn so much together and with each other. I can coach one-on-one, but thanks for bringing that forward. And one of my students has already Googled it and put it in the chat. So Cantor.
Okay, fantastic.
They are on it. They are listening, Bassem. They are excited. Cantor. And from Rani, I have another question. Do you have a book that inspires or motivates you? The one that keeps you up? So you've definitely touched on your faith and the Bible, and thank you for that. Anything else specific?
I'm not really a reader. I'm not a book reader, to be quite honest with you. I'm more of I like to go to retreats, like self-development retreats. I like to do social experiments. I remember one of my friends did the high five run. Like you run in the street and high five people, and just out of like bring happiness. And I volunteer with my church in a lot of community and Love Toronto, and helping with the Salvation Army. And like I'm more of an experiment type of, like, put me into the thing than reading. I tried even the audibles and stuff like that. It put me straight to bed. I just I put it on the plane. I just did not even notice the 5 hours. I couldn't
Okay,
even do
there we go. Oh, amazing. Well, now you know how to go to sleep real fast. Okay, well, there we go. That's wonderful. So again, I'm hearing get engaged, meet people, interact, community, and connect with others that are like-minded and giving and supporting. I hear a lot of community work and connection. That high five run, I've never even heard of that. That sounds so fun. So you just, what, could you tell us about that? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you dress in funny stuff. So you can dress in tutus, put like funny makeup, and you just run in the street. And we have a flag, high five run, and it's so much fun. It just brings the energy up, because you can learn about and read about energy and positivity so much. But if you actually put a funny T-shirt and a funny shorts and a tutu and put some funny makeup and go high five strangers in the street, I'm like, that's just something that will bring happiness in your heart for like years to come.
So true. So true. That's awesome. Thank you. All right. And I guess last but not least, you'd already mentioned that you didn't do it alone. Yes, you drove the bus, it sounds like, but you had acknowledged a lot of people that had supported you along the way. Who are the people you feel like you owe the most, a lot of your success to? Would you like to share about that with us?
Yeah, the first will be my mother. She's my idol. I love her, and she's really a strong character in my life. I have a lot of respect for women and working moms, especially. I know how hard it is. Then my brother lives in the States, and he was here before I came here, and he supported me when I like. You can't make a living on $400 or $500 a month, and 1 month you work and 1 month you don't work. I believe he did lend me more than $10,000 or $15,000 in my first 2 years. And it's something that you like, as logical as a brother will support a brother. You don't hear about it so much. But I'm very fortunate to have a very strong family. He's also my mentor. He's one of the top 5 people in the world for digital marketing. He's quite an amazing person. And then my best friend, Catherine McGillivray, she is actually the employee #1 and business partner at Green Lotus. When I left Canadian Tire, she offered me a free board. I stayed, I took a room in her house for free, and she helped me. We started the business together. And till today, she is a major driving force with Green Lotus, and I would love to send her a special thank you, Catherine McGillivray. She is quite the powerhouse, and I could not done a lot of things without her. And honestly, there's a very long list, but lastly, I would mention Green Lotus team, because we have a very special culture of helping and supporting and being responsive. And if there's a problem, they get on the phone, they take an ownership, they resolve issues and problems. And we will not be ranking the #1 agency and SEO company in Canada and third globally if we didn't have the talent and the manpower to do so. So thank you to everyone on Green Lotus team. We could not done it without you.
Spoken like a true leader. All right, well, our time is getting near to ending, and I know you're a very busy man with lots on the go. Do we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions I've got in the
Absolutely.
chat? Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. All right, so Sharon asks, what are some of the mistakes we have to avoid to gain success?
Hmm. Um, I'll go back to the mindset. You mentioned anxiety, and I mentioned anxiety. Like, the one thing that you have to really understand, that whatever that anxiety, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not gonna make it, you're not the only one to have that feeling. We think that, oh my God, I am in this and I'm in this alone, and nobody else is as bad as me, and I'll never see the sunlight again. This is a program, it's a default setting in our brain that all of us, it is a long history, you guys can read about it from the survival mode of like the early human beings, but you really have to understand that you're not the only person that have anxiety. The most powerful, fearful people on the planet have the worst like fears and anxieties. So target them head on, take courses, participate in social groups and events, find the passions that you love. Work and success is not everything. I work like a dog, but at the end of the day, we do all of this to find those peaceful moments. To have my coffee on the beach in Spain is like, I would pay anything to have that and live there by the beach. So don't make it full focus. Yes, you're all young, you have to put 120% of it, but don't forget family, don't forget what makes life meaningful. Go passionate, go full force, but make sure weekends you cut off, you put your phone down, you enjoy your relationship with your partner, with your family. Pay attention to those very small moments that usually slip by, and we don't know how meaningful they were till we lose them.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you. And we have all ages in this group, I tell you. So from 20 to, I think we've got people in close to 50s and 60s starting fresh, like making a new life. So this is great for anybody coming through. All right. Let's see some deep questions here. So
Yeah, they're really off guard too.
I'm like, wow, we're going deep. But this is exactly where we need to be. I think the conversation we need to have. When you already reach, oh, wait, I can't wait to hear what you're going to say. When you already reach all of your goals, having a lot of money, of having some properties and traveling around the world, what else are your next goals? And how do you put passion to reach those next goals? Mime, echo, deep echo.
Wow.
I know.
So what goal will I have after those goals?
I guess I think, yeah. How do you? I think what I'm here gaining is how do you find fulfillment if you have already found so much?
Oh wow. It's a very difficult question, especially in this time and this coronavirus. It really kind of resets your mindset and like I loved my fancy car. I had a really nice car. I loved it to death. I sold it because I'm not driving it. So like the things that we think that we that are the metrics of success or the metrics of happiness, especially in this lockdown when luxury and going out and spending and traveling is no longer an option. It really makes you reset your mind. What does it mean? Well, I'm very fortunate. I just got married a few months ago. So I am really having a blissful time enjoying this new commitment in my life and looking towards building a family. So I think that's my ultimate goal at the time, having that quality time with my partner, doing things that we both like, having game nights, doing like the silliest things, renting a little boat and getting soaked in the lake in the summer, doing those little road trips. I don't know if I answered the question, but I'm more going towards the simplest things in life because at the moment this lockdown kind of really changed the mindset of even how you run businesses. Businesses no longer need that fancy real estate and those big corporate desks and meeting rooms. Things have been running actually better. We found that our team actually work more and longer hours and harder like when they work at home. So a lot of things are shifting. So I invite every one of you to just take a half day off and just think and recalibrate. Like we're not able to do the things and the norm things that we can do. We're not able to take the luxuries and buy and shop. Like what is it that truly makes you happy? I'm actually going to do that practice. I'm just going to take like half a day and just recalibrate and just kind of put a focus and see what truly drive happiness to me. It's a really good question.
I thought so too. Really good. And I think you're so right too, Bassem. This has provided for those that are open to it. This whole COVID situation has provided an opportunity to reconsider our paradigms for what is success? What am I doing it for? Why? What do I get out of it? And I remember I've been studying happiness and success for many years, curious about how people do it, why they do it. And I came across a study that indicated, I think it was Catherine Gretchen, she did the Happiness Project, if I'm remembering her correctly. And it's a book about all of that, happiness. And the study had indicated that those that make 60,000 a year or more, any range from there to millions of dollars a year, the measure of happiness that they rated themselves as having, the difference between someone who makes 60,000 and 2 million, their happiness quotient, they were almost the same. So once your basic expenses are paid and you've got a little bit of extra and you're feeling secure, whether you make 60,000 a year or you make 600,000 a year, the level of happiness does not go up exponentially. There comes a point where you settle in. So I thought that was really interesting when I learned that, and certainly from people that I've met that have, made it and accomplished so many massive milestones materially and professionally. That's certainly something that I've heard a lot. And what I heard from you just now was going inward, relationships, and connectedness, things that money doesn't buy, but having everything taken care of still, so you don't have to worry if the lights are staying on. So
Yeah, there was just a comment that someone actually said that the most worry for entrepreneurs is clients or someone coming and going, and that is a true worry. That was actually part of my anxiety when I was feeling low at part of my journey. But again, it's finding that peaceful rhythm. The nature of business is that you gain clients and you lose clients. So having that peaceful mindset, I'm like, it's okay. Let me try harder. Let me find out what didn't work. So thank you for that comment. I just wanted to really, I saw it on the screen, and it's a true worry, and it's a very scary thing. It got to a point in my life that every time my phone rings, I feel that my heart drop. When you're on a roller coaster and your heart drops.
Oh.
It got to that bad of a time for me that I couldn't take it anymore, and I was under a lot of stress. So yeah, recalibrate, make priorities. Business is just business, and the way you make money, but happiness is mainly a mindset.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, I'll do two more questions if that's okay, and then we'll start to wrap it up. Is that okay with you, Bassem?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, because we're getting to our hour here, and I promised you an hour. So question one comes from Francisca. Did you have a mentor that helped you build your tenacity? So I think you've touched on some of that. Is there anybody specific you'd like to basically give a shout out to? Other than I guess Natalia, maybe? I don't.
Natalia did, like, she did take me from, like, I started the mastermind after I started the business by 2-3 years. So I already had some success, and I already had like proven income and proven the concept of the business. But again, I was in that fear situation, and I start hiring employees, and now I'm more responsible for paying people salaries. And if I lose clients, I have to fire people. So that was the point that where I started the mastermind with Natalia, and took me over to more the peaceful time of the business. Yeah, that was the one of the biggest shifts. And then I did a lot of self-development courses. It's not just one. And I recommend that you guys do something that have either a weekly, bi-weekly meetings, accountability partner, something to check on you, because again, I'm going to talk about the psychology and the default of our brains. It might sound silly to you, but our brain usually kind of walk us away from the best things that can happen to us, because it's scary, because it's new. I'm like, no, you're comfortable back here. Don't risk this. This is usually the default settings. Maybe not for everyone, but for me. But if you get to recognize that, and if you get to take those risks from a peaceful position, you will perform a lot better.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And I would agree. That's certainly been my experience as well, Bassem. Last question I'll take here. So from Jay, could you give us some advice, from what to start or what to do for someone who doesn't know what their passions or their talents are?
Oh.
Right.
I think just try to throw yourself into things. I Digital marketing and Google and SEO and all of that were not even in my radar when I moved to Canada. I didn't even know a thing about it. And usually, what I heard is that a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of people do change career based on the first good job they have. So things will fall eventually in your lap, and someone will challenge you or give you a project or ask you a weird question that will spark something in you. I don't want you to do too much self digging, and that will take you away from the outside world, because what we do not know is far more than what we already know. So be open to possibilities, volunteer, talk to people. Some of my best clients came to me from a personal relationships. Some of the best jobs we ever did, or people that helped me or bought real estate or like did this deal or that deal, came from personal relationships. I know it's a little bit hard at this time, but don't let this lockdown kind of trap you into, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Try to take uh, small risks. Try something new every week or every 2 weeks. Find volunteerings. I usually tell a lot of my young friends is like, find the job or the something that you would like to do, whatever it is, and call the organization and say, can I do it for free for 2 months? Right? Just throw yourself right into it, because what the risks and the things you're going to do today. So that question, that how to rank on the first page of Google, was asked to me more than 15 years ago, have changed my past. So put yourself in front of new questions. That will be my advice.
Wonderful. Thank you. I also heard a little bit of try to get out of analysis paralysis, get into action.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot
absolutely.
of career assessments and all that. And sometimes I've seen people stay stuck just thinking, and this test and this. Get out there and do something. Take a course, talk to some people, join a group. That's what I got out of that. I hope that's okay. So, all right. Well, Bassem, thank you so much for sharing your experience, your strength, your wisdom, and your insight and inspiration. It has been such a pleasure. I think I can safely say that for all of us who've been on the call and on the meeting. So grateful you could make time for us here at Fanshawe College at OSLT ESM. And I think that's about it for now. And we look forward to having access to this. Just let us know when we can check it out on YouTube when you've got it up. And just thank you so much.
Awesome. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I wish all the best to your students. You guys are in such an amazing place to be taking part of this Canadian culture, and you have all the doors open for you. And this country reward hard workers. So if you do work hard, you will make it in life. Thanks again.
Thanks, Bassem. We'll be in touch.